Good afternoon, my fellow Americans. My name is Colin Jones. I am a veteran of the United States Marine Corps, and I'm running for president in 2028 as a radical Republican and Democratic Socialist. What does that mean? Many of you have heard of me at this point, and most of you are familiar with the term Democratic Socialist. Democratic Socialism is extremely popular in American politics. Senator Bernie Sanders is a Democratic Socialist, very famously. Our mayor here in New York is a Democratic Socialist. I often get questions about what the phrase radical Republican and why I insist on using it means. As I get questions about why I call myself a radical Republican when I also call myself a Democratic Socialist. And perhaps even more confusingly, I'm running in the Democratic primary for president. That is, I'm going to be challenging, traditional Democrats for the primary for the presidency, which means whoever the Republican Party picks, I'm going to be running against. So why do I insist on a really confusing term called radical republicanism? This is something that I insist on because it aligns a lot with my philosophy about why I am a Democratic Socialist, why I think you deserve more full rights. So let's back up. Radical republicanism is an American movement, right? It's actually the birth of the Republican Party. Radical Republicans were the Republicans who fought against slavery, right? Radical Republicans freed the slaves. For the Civil War, being called a radical literally just meant you were against the enslavement of free people. Like you were for this idea that all men were created equal, not that racial slavery should exist. Radical Republicans are also known historically, though, for some very nasty ideas. Things like nativism, this idea that only native-born Americans, whatever that means, should be involved in politics. They were also involved in ideas that I explicitly am against. They had a lot of anti-Catholic biases. My mom is Catholic. Abraham Lincoln is probably the most famous person who could be described as a radical Republican. It's kind of arguable whether or not he would call himself a radical Republican. Okay, so with all that information, again, why do I insist on using an archaic and an extinct term? There are no more radical Republicans today. All the Republicans who are currently serving office, they are either something like a neo-Republican or, they are a paleo-conservative or, the vast majority by data support President Trump. I describe myself as a radical Republican because it's how I think we ought to think about rights and services, in this country from and by the federal government. That is, I want all the things democratic socialism wants, but I want it from a very specific philosophical context. That context is that you, as an American, promise the freedom and the right to pursue your own happiness. This comes from the Declaration of Independence, our Declaration of Independence, which is our nation's first and most important founding legal document. Pursuit of happiness implies equality. Right? You can't pursue your happiness if some of your citizens are classed above you or ranked above you. Moreover, you can't pursue your happiness if you live in an economy designed to crush you, to favor some rich billionaire elite. Constitution of the United States directly implies that you have something called unenumerated rights. These are rights that you have that the Constitution just hasn't gotten around to including yet. As a radical Republican, I think that the platform of the Democratic Socialists in America include and fight for the rights you have as an American that enable your pursuit of happiness. I understand that this is a new concept for most people hearing it. We don't teach history in this country anymore. And I was a private citizen before I started this account, before I started this campaign, but I've held this political philosophy my entire adult life. So there's no bait and switch. I look at the analytics, and I've received private messages from many of you who heard that term, radical Republican, and were excited to reach out to me because you thought I was running in the Republican primary. I can't run in the Republican primary. I had to register as a Democrat because the Republican primary has been entirely captured by Trump's cronies. And that's the sad truth. In a better country, I would be able to run in a more clear and concise way. But if I am to try to get the America for you that you deserve, the America that tens of thousands of people reach out to me every day and tell me that they believe in, I had to make the strategic choice to align with the Democratic Party. because right now there are rebel Democrats, democratic socialists, who are fighting for something extremely similar to what I think we deserve as radical Republicans. We can talk about how they differ. When I launch my website next week, I will clearly outline where I think these ideas come from for me and how we differ from traditional democratic socialism. I am comfortable being applied with either of those two terms. And I really, you can tell as I keep saying it, really truly believe in myself and think of myself as a radical Republican and democratic socialist. They're not conflicting terms. We all want to fight for a better and fairer America. The two-party system has tried to separate us. It has separated us. Our country is on the brink of conflict because these words, things like Democrat and Republican, have driven us to hate our neighbors. At the same time, I've had many Republicans directly reach out to me, DM me, and tell me that they have to register as Democrats for the first time to vote for me. That's touching. It's showing me that even though there's so much confusion around these terms because the people in charge have tried to hide this history from you, it shows that there are many Republicans out there who still to their core believe that being a Republican means believing in a Republican form of government where all men and all women, all people are created equal. I am proud to be a radical Republican. I am proud to be a democratic socialist. I hope that helps clear things up. Please reach out to third-party sources so you can read more about the history of this if you're interested. I am running my campaign on a 6 policy pillar position that I can promise you, right? That's something I can do as president and start on day 1. But many of you have commented and reached out asking me to try to dismantle the two-party system. Surprise, this is already starting. That's why I describe myself this way. This is why I am so fierce to hang on to these terms, even though many people have told me to abandon them. On my website, launching next week, we are going to have a whole section describing the history and tradition of both radical republicanism and democratic socialism in America. In the meantime, though, if you're still uncomfortable with these terms, you can know this. I am an American. I'm a patriot, and I am an American radical. I place fairness and justice first. That's what I'm fighting for. I am fighting to bring back fairness and justice in America. For you, for us. Thanks for your time, America. Talk to you later.